The original intention was to make this video all in one take so that you guys could see everything from start to finish. Because I had a problem, I interrupted the video and then went back to edit, and that's how this preface got inserted in here, is through editing. And I'm doing this to let you know that I did not edit out everything. I left in the problem that I have to show a typical kind of problem that you can have with these kind of boards and how easy it is to figure it out. Okay, fellas, there's a new version of a very popular product out from my buddy Kevin down at RC Tanks Australia. This is the Atarc board. He's always been making anti-track recoil devices with the Atarc and the Komodo, but he's kind of combined them together into a new board, and he sent me one to check out, so I'm going to show you how it works. Now, this is a brand new IMEX Tigen metal version Panzer III. Still haven't even painted the tracks or added any of the extra accessories. It's brand new out of the box. And I just want to show you, before we start, that this tank, get some better light in here while we're waiting for that to warm up. This tank does currently have the stock MFU in it. It's brand new out of the box, okay? So we'll start it up. Off camera, I've got something set up to catch the BB. And we're ready to go. And you can see nasty track recoil. One more time. Very nasty track recoil. This thing's got a hell of an airsoft cannon in it though, man. I don't know if I've ever seen one this powerful. It'll actually embed the BBs into the side of a cardboard box, and I don't have any other cannons that'll do that. Alright, so I'm going to set the transmitter out of the way for right now. All I'm going to need to do this job is the Atarc board from Kevin, a small screwdriver, and I got a couple of different wire nips. Alright, I'm going to remove the top. Now I'm going to unplug the trigger switch from its location, and I'm also going to unplug the 8-pin connector just so that it won't be in the way for this. Okay, so I've unplugged these two wires, and I'm going to set the hull top and turret off to the side. Okay, now there's the inside of the tank as it comes in its stock configuration. I haven't really done anything to the inside of this. Okay, it runs on the stock battery. Now what we're going to do, I'm thinking we're going to put the Atarc board right in front of the MFU, possibly. I'm not sure if that should give it enough. Oh yeah, it's below, well, it should give it enough clearance for the airsoft unit. If it clears that battery, it should clear the Atarc. Now this thing is ridiculously easy to install. However, I can see right now that I'm going to ask Kevin, well, this might be just right. I might want to ask Kevin about the possibility of longer connectors, you know, possibly. Anyway, it's like I said, it's ridiculously easy. You simply take the Atarc and plug one end of your connector into the red JST port, okay? It's got a couple jumpers on here too. The other end is going to plug in to the socket that I took the trigger switch out of. This is usually the socket for the trigger switch and the high intensity flash on IR tanks, and on airsoft tanks it'll have only the trigger switch. Okay, so now you can see that that sits down inside the tank, and I can stick it down with some two-sided tape or whatever. For right now I'm just going to let it float there. I'm also going to unplug it from the MFU until I finish the wire hookups. Now, coming off of each motor, you have one red wire that runs back to the MFU. Okay, so we're going to take each one of those red wires that go to a motor connector, and we're going to cut them. I'm thinking right about there would be good for this one. Okay, so I'll take my nips and I'll just cut this wire, and then I'll strip off about a millimeter, maybe a millimeter and a half on the end, like so, on both wires. Okay, then I grab my Atarc board. Now it's going to go into one of these two blue blocks. Okay, one block will be for one motor and the other block will be for the other motor. Now this is one of the great things. Doesn't matter which one goes where. As long as you have the red wire from one motor going into the two openings on one block, you're good to go. You can have left motor on this side or left motor on this side, doesn't matter. Okay, so I've taken the two wires and I've clipped them, and now I'm simply going to insert one into the Atarc. Take my little screwdriver. I notice Kevin's using different screws that will accept either Phillips or flathead. That's a pretty good idea. And because this screwdriver is a little small, I'm going to change over to a small Phillips, which is too big. So maybe I'm not. Yes, I am. Alright, I'm going to use a small Phillips on this. So I've tightened one. Now I take the other wire, insert it into the other opening on the Atarc board. Same procedure. Okay, so that's one side complete. That is actually my motor right. Now we're going to do motor left. This is the wire for motor left. We're going to repeat the procedure. Just going to snip this. Going to strip these two wires about 1 millimeter or so. And same procedure on the other blue block. We just insert the wire into the end and tighten a screw on the top. That clamps down on the wire, holds everything in place. One side, put it on the other side. Now we'll set the Atarc board back down in there. Like I said, for now I'm just going to leave it float free. Plug in my 5 connector to my trigger switch and high intensity flash port. At least I think I'm going to. Alright, that's plugged in and locked. I'm just going to move it off to the side of the fan there, just in case, because I don't have a guard on this one yet. Okay, so now you can see the Atarc board installed here. The wire runs back around to the MFU, and the two red wires from the two motors are connected to the blue blocks on the Atarc. Now, when I put my hull top back on, I'll plug in my 8-pin right where it was. Now my trigger switch will go into the white JST plug on this board. You might have to modify the switch a little bit if the locks get in the way, but usually it'll plug down in there on those last 2 pins. The same 2 pins that it went in when it was plugged into the MFU. And then we'll just set the top on, turn on the transmitter, we'll turn on the tank, give it a second for everything to get comfortable, start the tank. Okay, there's something wrong there. We will turn the tank off. Obviously, you have something plugged in wrong. Okay, found the problem, and through the magic of editing, we'll get this fixed afterwards. The deal is that, here's what happened to me, why the cannon fired continuously like that. On this board, Kevin has a red JST connector in the center. I'm not sure how well you can see that from there. Okay, on this board, Kevin has a red JST connector in the center and a white one on the outside. In his video, that's opposite. He's got the red one on the outside and a white one in the center. So when he plugs the wire to the MFU into the Atarc board, he plugs it into the red connector. But I can't do that because they're backwards. So once I swapped that, everything was fine. So I guess the best way to remember is that the connector to the MFU goes on the plug at the edge of the board. The trigger switch plugs in to the 5-pin connector that's in the center of the board. Okay, so now everything is installed and hooked up the way it's supposed to be. Let's get you back to where you can see. I'm really going to have to edit this or do it again, who knows. I don't like to do these kind of videos in more than one take because I like the guys to see exactly what my experience is as it happens. So there you saw that I had a little problem. I had the thing hooked up wrong, but as I explained, that's because I was trying to go by the color of the JST plugs instead of by the location of the JST plugs. My mistake. Please learn from my mistake. Don't make that mistake. So anyway, now everything's hooked up. We're going to start up the tank. It's not going to fire continuously when it starts running. Okay, we now have eliminated the track recoil from the barrel. So there it is, the Atarc from RC Tanks Australia. I'm not sure on the price yet, but knowing Kevin, it's probably going to come in around $20 to $30 US. I'm guessing probably about 22 bucks, but I'm not sure, so don't hold me to that. So there she is, the Atarc. I hope that was informative. I think it's a great board. I'm going to call up Kevin and tell him I want some more. See you next time.